I love seeing new faces. For a while, it was just the same old miners and the occasional traveling merchant. Thought Carolyn might have to shut this place down. Look at me talking your ears off. What can I get you? At first, I assumed it was the usual house squabbles. Redoran and Hlalu arguments can get pretty heated. Then I thought maybe the Ashlanders were scaring people off. But after that proclamation... No, I'd rather not talk about that with a stranger. I'm sure you do, but I have to live here, you know? Look, there's nothing I can tell you. If the houses ever found out I told an outlander about our troubles, maybe one of the miners will be more willing to talk to you. I like the color of your gold, Outlander. Just between us, I heard the House Guard shut down the Shulk ore mine. Something to do with violent cultists who attacked the miners and took over the place. Even got the crew chief, or so I heard.
You shouldn't be here. Didn't you read the House Redoran proclamation? I wouldn't be here myself, but some of my miners are still in there. Our mine was invaded by violent cultists. They showed up and just took the place over. My people are trapped. I'm no expert, but it looked like the cultists were preparing to conduct a ritual before the Ashlander interrupted them. Probably because I heard one of them say, "With this ritual we'll call forth a mystical weapon and attain the power of a god," or something along those lines. Look, I was just trying to get me and my miners out of there when the Ashlander showed up. Well, I never actually saw an Ashlander, but I heard a cultist yell, "Ashlander thief! That's our mystical weapon!" That's not an exact quote, but you get the idea. I don't know what happened after that. I was kind of busy trying not to die. It used to be an ore mine, and we hope it will be again. My crew was inside preparing to start up mining operations when the cultists attacked. The way things are going, we might just have to turn the place into another Kwama egg mine. Really? That's awfully brave of you. If you see any of my miners, tell them to get their arses out here. I'll wait as long as I can. Or until I hear screaming. Then I'll go to Balmora and try to find some help. Good luck in there. Did you find what you were looking for in the mine? Of course. I perfectly understand. I think I'll wait a little longer and see if any of my miners were able to escape from the cultists. Good luck with your mission, whatever it is.
I demand to see my brother. Lay hands upon me, and you will lose them. You there! The territory of the Red Exiles shouldn't be traveled lightly. Ashlanders once respected each other, helped one another. You'd think these were house wolves or tribunal dogs, the way they treated me. Speaking of the tribunal, you have the smell of dog about you. I wonder why that is. Lord Vivec, is it? And I thought all the tribunal cared about was building monuments to their own greatness. Nice to see that one of them cares about what's going on beyond their borders. Well, perhaps we can aid each other this day, Outlander. Ashlanders are nomads, but we gather at sacred sites to trade, confer, and pay homage to the past. Aldrin is such a place. That's why Chodola invited the Red Exiles here. But these outcasts won't let me into their camp. I need to find my brother. My brother, Chodola, is the Ashkan of our tribe, and I am his ambassador. I act as a go-between among the tribes. Chodola wants to unite the Dunmer and calmly end the era of the bickering houses. He hopes to convince the tribes to follow his lead. Head into the Red Exiles camp and find my brother. Otherwise, see if you can find out what he was doing in there and where he's gone. Be wary of the outcasts. As you saw, they won't hesitate to attack without reason or provocation. No, just our tribe, the Urshilaku, though he's respected by most of the other Ashlanders for his wisdom and strength of will. He does hope to unite the tribes in a common cause, however. That's one of the reasons we've gathered here at Aldrin. My brother and I have always worked to help our people, and improve the Ashlander way of life. He used to believe that peaceful negotiation was the best path to accomplish this. Recently, however, things have become different. He's almost like... No, that's not something I'm ready to talk about with an outsider. Perhaps after you prove your trustworthiness and willingness to help us, then we can discuss my brother in more detail. Perhaps. That's not our goal, but the tribes will defend themselves if necessary. No, we hope to present a united front and show the houses the folly of the path they've embarked upon. Turning away from our forefathers and god ancestors has made them weak. The Red Exiles, they're violent, dangerous Ashlanders who were banished from their tribes and joined together to create their own clan. Chodola invited them to the gathering and went into the camp to talk, but he's been gone too long. I'm worried. As you saw, hostility is second nature to the Red Exiles. We're here to negotiate, but they're no better than thieves and murderers. If they spot you in their camp, you'll need to defend yourself. It's unfortunate, but they'll leave you no choice. You seem to have survived your visit to the Red Exiles camp. Did you find my brother? Interesting. I never suspected that the outcasts were disciplined enough to keep records such as this. Oh no. I can't believe my brother would be so... brazen. It means that Chodola really has changed. With his newfound powers and rising ambitions, I fear what he plans for the tribes. I suppose you have a right to know what I'm talking about. Take this. I found it among my brother's possessions. Chodola discovered new power out in the wilderness, and it changed his view of the world. He writes about it in that document. Now he believes he's a Nerevarine, and incites the tribes while I try to keep them all from doing anything rash. You don't know? I thought... No, you're not an Ashlander, and the House Elves rarely talk about such things. Long ago, there was a hero named Nerevar. He fought alongside the Tribunal, before they claimed to be gods, until they betrayed him. So our legends say. Nerevar united the Chimera and forged an alliance with the Dwemer. He died at the Battle of Red Mountain. We believe the Tribunal hastened his demise, despite Vivec's claims to the contrary. The Nerevarine is a promise and a prophecy. We believe that, through the power of Azura, Nerevar will return to unite all Dunmer, House and Ashlander alike, and make Morrowind great again. The returned Nerevar will be known as the Nerevarine. While the prophecy of the Nerevarine can be interpreted as the end of the Tribunal, I have always seen it as a prediction of hope and peace. Chodala and some Ashlanders, such as the Red Exiles, favor war. That's not the Nerevarine I believe in. He uses an Ashkon's words to plant dark ideas in his followers. Ideas that speak of false gods, lost traditions, and the need for a cleansing war. His words become more forceful every day, but I hope to dissuade him from this violent course. All I know is that his new power frightens me. Chodala returned from a sojourn in the wilderness more vibrant, more commanding. He's always been strong, but now he's fearless, practically invincible, and swifter than the fastest Ashlander scout. Chodala says his new abilities strengthen his claim as the Nerevarine. I think it's the staff he carries. He had it when he returned, and now it's always at his side. I know it's unreasonable, but I hate that staff. He calls it Sunara.
At last. Did you see what's happening outside? Red Mountain rumbles louder and more frequently. The sky grows dark, and worst of all, the people are beginning to notice. Soon I'll have to muster the Ordinators to keep them from the palace doors. In part, Lord Vivec is... not well. I won't allow his followers to see him in this state. He continues to lose energy, and it's becoming difficult for him to maintain the realm in his usual fashion. Now, what did your investigations uncover? I'll review these documents and present your findings to Lord Vivec. I was against bringing you into this investigation, but I was wrong. Thank you for aiding us. You should go see Lord Vivec now. He's been asking about you. I'll be along shortly. Very well. Tell me what you learned at each of the locations, and let's see what conclusions we can come to. Barrelzal faithfully served Sothis Seal. He's as loyal to the Tribunal as I am. He would never intentionally harm Lord Vivec. But that tool he mentioned... Perhaps one of the priests Vivec sent away could search the temple archives for more information. Lord Vivec doesn't want his followers to see him in such a weakened state. Only you, Canon Levuel, and myself are permitted into his palace now. Speaking of the palace, Lord Vivec wants to see you when we're done here. So your notes say, and this Saren assisted you. Interesting. Most Ashlanders want nothing to do with the Tribunal. Even so, they rarely become aggressive. I'd say this Chodala bears watching. If we can spare it, I'll send an armiger to Alderaan. Interesting theory. Perhaps Chodala's staff can steal Vivec's energy. But I have a hard time imagining how an Ashlander could accomplish such a feat. Lord Vivec said the draining has grown more intense since you left. It doesn't look well. From what you discovered, I dare say there may be a correlation between the Nicotic relic and the tool Barrelzal mentioned. And it seems the Ashlander thieves are connected to Chodala. Your evidence points to a clear conclusion. So it appears. Lord Vivec's doing his best not to complain, but I can see how much the draining of his energy has cost him. Just seeing you again should improve his mood considerably. And the progress you made with your investigations, Outstanding.
My lord, please let me send for aid. Perhaps one of the healers can help you.
Pain is best tolerated in private, as I have written in the 37th ballad.
There must be something I can do.
You can call the Archcanon. He should hear the news our friend brings us. The river drains into the sea, as my divinity flows out of me. Needs some work. As you can see, I continue to lose energy, and it has made me somewhat agitated. Have you made any progress toward discovering the source of my discomfort? An Ashlander? That seems unlikely, but I trust your instincts. We need to find out more about this Chodala and the ancient enemy that aids him. Take this. Another token of my appreciation. And look, here comes the Archcanon now.
The Outlander may have actually discovered something. After further examination of the documents you brought back, I have to agree with your assessment. The Ashlander Chodala has somehow siphoned divine energy away from Lord Vivec. Not exactly. But now that we know that the affliction isn't natural, we can work toward a solution, one that probably involves Chodala's staff. How the Ashlander got his hands on Sothasil's tool and turned it into a weapon is beyond me, though. Eventually, but we need to be cautious. If Chodala is as respected as you say, attacking him would start a war we can't afford to partake in. Go to Aldrin and talk to his sister, Saren. I don't trust her either, but she worked with you before. Get to Aldrin and locate Saren. She needs to tell us more about Chodala and then help us acquire his staff. Without it, we can't restore Vivec. Meanwhile, I need to placate the populace. The people grow concerned over Vivec's continuing isolation. Didn't we cover this? Let me refresh your memory. Lord Vivec suffers stoically as his divine energy drains away. Neither my administrations nor his defenses have been sufficient to plug the hole, so we've isolated him to keep panic to a minimum. If we knew for certain, we wouldn't be sending you to make a deal with a heretical Ashlander, now would we? Chodala must have something to do with Vivec's energy loss, but the how and why remain a mystery. That's why I must examine that staff. Everything you uncovered suggests the staff and Sothasil's missing tool are one and the same, and it's obviously connected to Chodala's newfound powers. Bring it back here so I can study it. The solution resides in the staff. I'm sure of it. Experience, Outlander. Experience. I have seen the Dunmer rage against the gods at the least provocation. When they realize that Vivec is ill, that his powers are failing, they'll weep and gnash their teeth like frightened children. The people don't handle the infirmities of their deities very well, especially when those infirmities could foreshadow Red Mountain's eruption or portend the moonlets fall from the sky. Once such fear ignites, it spreads like wildfire. They try not to think about them at all. The Ashlanders are savages. They refuse to acknowledge the supremacy of Lord Vivec and the Tribunal, instead putting their faith in the despicable Daedra. They're heretics, pure and simple. The Ashlanders hold to superstitions the way Quama protect their eggs. If they really considered Chodala to be the Nerevarin, then any action you take against him will enrage the tribes. Talk to Saren and see if she can suggest an alternative course.
Azura is my shield, you foul creatures! thank you for aiding me, but I sense you came for a different purpose. Let's talk inside the cavern. An outlander? Surely there must be another way. No, my lady, of course not. I'll do as you ask. Come here, outlander. We must talk. It feels strange to talk to an outlander in such a sacred place, but the Queen of the Night Sky insists. I need to render judgment on an important claim, and she says you can help me reach the correct decision. Words of truth from the mouth of an outlander. Remarkable. The Red Exiles and a few others believe that Chodala is the Nerevarine. He's convinced them, but not me. I came here to consider my options. I fear a bloodbath if I oppose his claim. Perhaps, but I must remain impartial. If someone else reveals the flaws in Chodala's claims by comparing him to the failed incarnates, that might do the trick. We thought the incarnates were possessed by the spirit of Nerevar, but each had a critical flaw that made them destined to fail to fulfill the prophecy. Their spirits reside here. Yes, you should speak to the incarnates. I see Azura's wisdom now. Take this pouch of blessed grave dust. Sprinkle a pinch upon the bones of the incarnates to call forth their spirits. Return to Aldrin after you have learned all you can. Perhaps we can curb Chodala's ambitions before they lead us to war. We need knowledge to defeat Chodala, Outlander. Listen well to what the failed incarnates have to say. Once I was the hope of my people, but then my claim was proven false. Now I wait, and I hope for the Nerevarines' return. State your question, Outlander, and I shall do as Azura urges. To fulfill the prophecy, I followed a path of blood and war. In the end, my path became a road that led nowhere, and I was cast down from my lofty spot. Take my scroll, and help the wise woman understand the futility of a senseless war.
The Nerevarine remains a promise unfulfilled, and I am as guilty of prideful posturing as every other failed incarnate that occupies this hall. Ask your question and let's be done with this, Outlander. The Nerevarine must listen as well as proclaim. I refuse to accept wise counsel, which led to the doom of my tribe and the end of my quest to embody the spirit of Nerevar. Take my scroll and remind the wise woman that wisdom ignored is ignorance.
We are the failed incarnates, the ashlanders who proudly proclaimed themselves to be the Nerevarine, but were found wanting. The Lady of Dawn and Dusk urged us to cooperate. So ask your question, Outlander. Take my scroll and help the wise woman see the lie of unbridled power. I thought myself the reborn Nerevar, for I was the strongest, most powerful warrior in all the land. But power alone won't save my people. In the end, it couldn't even save me.
Mortal, let us speak. I foresaw your usefulness before you even set foot in Vardenfell. Now comes a test that will challenge your ability to separate truth from lies. You must convince the tribes that Chodala is not the Nerevarine. Doversee's wisdom outshines most other mortals. She recognizes the futility of Chodala's claim. If she rebuffs him, however, the tribes will turn on each other, and blood will flow. The staff, Sunra, it makes Chodala confident, reckless. Your instincts serve you well. Chodala's path took a dark turn. However, my sight clouds when I look too closely. Sothasil built Sunra, but he did not create it with this vile purpose in mind. You must act on my behalf, and Vivec's. Then go, return to Aldrun, and help the wise woman reveal the falsehood of Chodala's claim. And let Saren assist you. She is my champion, and a trusted friend of all Ashlanders. Helping that arrogant imposter? Whatever gave you the idea that I was helping that murderer? Vardenfell must stand. Everything I do in this regard serves that single goal. Best that you remember that, mortal. Due to an ancient pact, I am not permitted to interfere in the affairs of Nirn. Even this casual discussion pushes the boundaries of that agreement. Instead, I must work through trusted agents, such as yourself and Saren. Use what the Incarnate shared with you. Their failures point the way toward Chodala's downfall, but beware Chodala's power. He may not be the Nerevarine, but some greater agency has lent strength to his conviction.
Thank the moon and star. You've returned. The wise woman returned from the cavern of the Incarnate and went right into Scar to meet with the tribes. Chodala's in there too, about to be named the Nerevarine. Tell me you came back with something to stop my brother's rise to power. Of course. Use the tales of the failed Incarnates to counter Chodala's arguments. That's brilliant. Well, except for one problem. An Outlander has no status in the Council. The Ashlanders won't listen to a word you say. Someone else has to present the arguments. Someone they trust. I suppose that means I have to challenge my brother. With your help, of course. You spoke to the Incarnates, not me. I'm familiar with their stories, but I'll need you to help me choose the appropriate argument to counter each of Chodala's claims. I hate opposing my brother in this. I just don't see another way. Incarnate Runso was strong and powerful. He thought that by strength alone, he could unite the Ashlanders. He failed. When Chodala proclaims his power, that's when we'll refer to this scroll's sad tale. Incarnate Ajiri was a champion of my people. She defended us against great threats. But when she grew to love war for war's sake, she proved she wasn't the Nerevarine. When Chodala proclaims that war is the answer, hand me this scroll. Incarnate Darnot thought his way was the best way. He rejected the counsel of the Wise Women and the Ashkans, something Nerevar would never do. When Chodala proclaims he knows better than anyone, we'll use this scroll. Meet me inside.
Must we continue this farce? It's obvious that I'm the Nerevarine.
Someone has stepped forward to challenge your claim, Chodala.
Saren, I'm disappointed in you, dear sister.
Enough. I shall hear your arguments and render my decision.
Even the Outlander can see that I'm the most powerful Ashkan. My strength alone proves that I am the Nerevarine.
Chodala puts forth his great strength as proof of his claim. Give me the scroll that discounts such a trait for the Nerevarine. Yes, that's a sound argument. Incarnate, appear!
As a warrior and as an Ashkan, I was the most powerful of my age. But for all my strength, I failed my people. Don't follow my example.
The faithless houses dare to threaten our land, but we shall meet them in battle, and I will lead us to victory.
This is more nerve-wracking than I anticipated. Which scroll do you recommend to counter this argument? That makes sense. I'll try that. Incarnate, appear!
I thought the path to the Nerevarine was a path of blood and battle, but my love of war was my undoing. War is not the way.
These failed incarnates prove nothing! I need no counsel but my own, as befits my status as the Nerevarine.
I think it's working. One more strong assertion, and that should do it. Of course. Let's see what happens. Incarnate, appear!
I refuse to accept the counsel of the wise women and the Ashkans. I thought I knew best, but I knew nothing. That is not the way of the Nerevarine.
Seren and the Outlander, their arguments have merit. Chodala, we deny your claim. You are not the Nerevarine.
This proves nothing! Look how the staff protects me! I am the Nerevarine! Red Exiles, slay—
Brother! No!
Go to my hut and get my healer's sack. Now.
Right away, wise woman.
Mortal, I would have words with you. Chodala has been revealed as a failed Nerevarine, but that hasn't dissuaded him from his reckless course of action. As long as he wields the staff, he shall be unstoppable. Time is against you, mortal. Even now, Vivec, that pompous usurper, grows increasingly weaker. As much as I deplore him, Vivec cannot fall to Chodala's vile magic. There's another power at work here. One I can't quite put my finger on. Return to Vivec City. Do what you can to aid Vivec, and pay heed to my faithful vessel, Saren. I name her Champion of the Moon and Star. She will play a pivotal role in ending her brother's march toward godhood, if she survives.
That was exhilarating.
As a god weakens, so too does his city suffer. I know my people grow fearful. Even the Archcanon is distressed. But the energy that remains to me holds the moonlit in the sky, at least for now. So what news does my eyes and ears bring to me? How this upstart Ashlander learned to attune Sothasil's tool confounds my understanding, and he dares use my power? Still, your help is appreciated. Every strike and parry takes us one step closer to ending this threat and restoring my vitality.
Due to Lord Vivec's condition, it falls upon us to find a solution. Lord Vivec must conserve his remaining energy, so we need to solve this problem on our own. It all comes back to Chodala. That damned Ashlander's draining the warrior poet's power. We need to stop him and get that damned staff. How should I know? That's not a skill the Tribunal teaches. Return to Barrelzar's tower and get Sothasil's former apprentice to come up with some kind of countermeasure. I'm sure he knows more than he's told you. I do have one concern, though. You see right through me, Outlander. I have more worries than a Quama queen has eggs. I'm talking about Chodala's sister. Saren claims to want to help, to want peace, but I don't trust her. Seek out Barrelzar, but be wary of the Ashlander's sister. We need to stop Chodala, and to do that, we need to find a way to overcome the device he's wielding. Find Barrelzar and make sure that crazy mage provides you with something we can use to save Lord Vivec. Is the bull sure it can bed the Betty? No. But by all accounts, we'll be better off with Sunara in our hands and away from Chodala. That won't be possible, however, as long as the Ashlander remains impervious to every attack. Vivec loves this land, and the land loves him in return. He's always had a special bond with Vardenfell. Is it so hard to believe that Red Mountain reflects his suffering? Beyond that, there's also Bardau, the moonlit that floats above us. Lord Vivec's intervention stopped the moonlit from crashing into the city. He holds it above us by strength of will. But as he weakens, so too does the power that keeps the rock afloat. If Vivec's energy wanes further, it would spell disaster. The female Ashlander? Well, if that wasn't enough of a reason, remember that she's also Chodala's sister. Blood sings to blood, as the warrior poet so elegantly put it. Be wary of that one, Outlander. She'll stab you in the back, mark my words.